So, life alchemy and mental health. Life alchemy and this understanding, this paradigm shift into understanding the human experience as being self-created moment to moment is what we need in our understanding of mental health right now. What I hear and see people talk about mental health is all problem oriented, and a lot of it seems quite stuck. When we move into the understanding that I share in Life Alchemy, really that gives us a doorway. It gives us a doorway to what we call healing, to what we call wholeness. It gives us an access point to create what we want. And I shared recently a quote from Esther Perel, and she said, one way of healing is to understand our trauma, and another way of healing is to create a new experience for yourself. And I actually believe that the second definition is a better definition of healing, because really the only thing we're seeking in looking at what trauma we might have is in order to be able to create a new experience for ourselves. And that's what we get. That's the opportunity we get. That's the natural outcome of understanding life in this way. When we sit into this understanding, we stop assuming a normal that we have a problem. When we talk about mental health in the paradigm that is currently talked about, and we talk about it in terms of problems, what we do is we actually assume a normal, which is false. It doesn't actually exist. And so when we come into the self-creating reality experience, when we come into that, what it brings us to is it brings us to the moment very naturally. It brings us into presence. And then what we get to do is we get to see that what might be fueling our desire for ability to act in a certain way or to have different feelings about something, what we get to see is that's actually fueled by a desire. And the only thing standing in the way of that is things that we believe. And we get to see the fallibility of our own beliefs. So instead of feeling like we might be continually chasing our tail, finding which trauma caused that belief that then we need to somehow unpick, what we can do is we can come into the moment, and when we see the fallibility of all our beliefs, and we can see that there's this, what we get to connect to is this infinite possibility, because we're holding everything that we're creating a little bit more lightly because we know we're creating it. And so then we get to move forward in a way that is playful. We get to just have a go. And in that, what we end up doing is creating for ourselves new experiences that are the healing we're looking for. So it's a complete shift from looking at problem orientated. And when I hear mental health, that's how I hear it generally, is people looking after their mental health, trying to dodge mental health problems. And a lot of the things I hear as well are a pathologizing of feelings, a concern for mental health, a concern for our own mental health, like a worry that we're not going to be okay. And all of that feels like I really understand it, and I can have so much compassion for people in that space. But I really feel like the paradigm shift we need, what this conversation, what that needs, is this understanding. Oh, I'm creating for myself my reality in the moment. And that, to me, then you get to see that the only place that exists is the moment, and you have ultimate freedom within that. And it's a really hard thing to get your head around, which is why I call it alchemy, because really it's soaking into, really exploring the understanding, really seeing how and what is true for you. If that's true, then what's true for you? What are you making up about your world that you maybe can just let go of a little bit, or play with, or find out? And then with that freedom to play, that freedom to redefine, it's very empowering, because instead of saying, I should be normal and I'm not, what it becomes is, I'm having this experience that I'm creating for myself, like every other human being on the planet. I'm having this experience and I'm creating it. And I'm not right about everything. So there's this space, there's this relaxation that becomes available, and automatically that drops us out of panic, it drops us out of needing to fix, it drops us out of anxiety, it drops us out of so many different things that we call, so many states that we call mental health indicators, and brings us back to now. And then when we want something that we apparently can't do, so, oh, I would love to do that thing, but I'm too anxious, then we get to connect with the part of ourselves that would love to do it. And we get to hold a little bit more lightly all those beliefs that are causing those anxious feelings. And we get to maybe not identify with the anxious feelings quite so much and take a step towards that thing. And play with that. Play with how that feels for us. See what the feedback is and see how seriously we actually need to take it in each moment. And that to me is completely liberating. I've had the experience of being chronically anxious without actually knowing I was chronically anxious. My entire life, I felt like I was being like walking a tightrope, like I had to get it right. And I didn't know that not everybody feels like that. And so when I fell out of it, when I saw that this is what I was creating for myself, the sense of relaxation, the depth of connection with myself, and then the depth of connection that's available with other people, the healing that's just automatic. And when I say the word healing, I mean ability to respond, because that's really what we want. That's really what good mental health looks like. It's the ability to respond to life and to connect to others and to bring what we love and what we want, express that and share that. And all of that is a natural outcome of really deeply understanding that we're creating the moment for ourselves. And life then gets to be the therapist. Because if we know we're creating everything for ourselves, if we know it's an innocently self-created world we're living in, and all of this experience, none of it has to be the way that it appears to us. When we know that we're doing that and we're doing it completely innocently, no one just decides they want to be depressed. No one decides they want to be anxious. It's totally, totally innocent, that state that we're creating for ourselves. But when we see that it's self-created, there is so much freedom. And life becomes the therapist, because when we can connect to ourselves and show up, we get to see the areas that we're holding ourselves back. We get to reconnect with those desires that we might have been pushing down or avoiding. We get to connect with those things that we want and then start seeing if we can do it. Because suddenly all those thoughts that say we can't, that fear in your belly, those things become a little bit lighter and a little bit easier to ignore in favor of a thing you really want to do. And being in the moment, actually, it's impossible to feel anxious, because anxiety is all future thinking. And depression is all holding on to something, defending from something, which is all here. When we come and we connect really with ourselves in the present moment and actually it's not taking responsibility for in terms of like blaming ourselves for how our life is and we should know better. There is no knowing better than what we're doing. And the idea that we, like most of us, know better on some level, but really when we really connect with who we are and accept fully where we're at, those shoulds actually become, oh, that's my desire. That I should work out is a desire to be slim or to be fit or to be strong or to be any of the things that we think we need to do that thing for. I should be kind. I should be kind is coming from the deep desire to be kind and connect, going around and coming back in as a should, because we're taking this sense of normal. I'm falling short and I should be doing better, is all because we get busy-minded and we're so used to leading with this thought process. We're so used to analysing and stepping and analysing with our minds and not coming back to here. and not connecting to our hearts and leaning in the direction that we want to create, creating with the feeling rather than with logic, because the logic is so deeply flawed. There is all those assumptions that that's based on, which are just foundations built in sand. And that's not true for anybody. That's true for all human beings, because we all just built our worlds as children. We all just association as babies. And this is what neuroscience is pointing us to as well. I'm not just saying these things. And my experience has shown it to be true, and the experience of a lot of other people. So, and anyway, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to consider, to pretend that this might be how it works, and see what comes up for you. See what might be true for you. And just to be able to hold a reality a little bit more lightly. This feels to me to be such a potent and beautiful thing that could really change the tide for what seems to be a mental health crisis at the moment. I hope something of this resonated with you, and please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching.